Hey gals and guys, this is War Turtle here from Lexy's Help Desk, and today we're going to be talking about the black face bug, or brown face bug, or gray face bug. Regardless, it's when the assets that the game goes to load to render an NPC's face don't actually match what it's expecting to load. And so you get this incorrectly displayed face. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about how the creation kit is used to create the face gen or to regenerate the face gen. I'm only going to be talking about this in the context of troubleshooting Lexy's guide, in particular a pure guide install, right? So you haven't added any other mods on top of it, and this is just something that you come across during your regular gameplay. Having said that, a lot of the same principles that we're going to talk about may be useful to troubleshooting this if you've got a different build. And we've got to talk about a few different things, both how the game loads data and then also what we are doing in the guide to get the mishmash of NPCs from various retexture overhauls to appear in our game. So the first thing is that the data itself is created in the creation kit and then saved into a plugin that you can view in Xedit, and we're going to do that. And when the game goes to load information, plugins, or assets, there's something called the rule of one. Basically, for any given record or any given file, the game can only have one version in the game. So if mod A alters a record and mod B alters the same record but loads after it, you're only going to get the data from the late loading mod showing up in the game. So when the game loads, it first loads plugins and associated archives from the right pane, and it starts at the top and works its way down. So if you look at the guide, our NPC retexture merge plugin actually loads very late in the game, and that helps ensure that all of that data actually makes it into the game. Now, the other part, though, is that multiple plugins may alter NPC visual data, and there may be a situation that you can't get around that you want something from an earlier loading plugin to get into the game. So we also use what's called the NPC Visual Transfer patch. It's a patch run through Zedit and part of Zpatch and we specify which plugins contain the face gen data that we want to capture. And that ensures that it all makes it into the very last plugin to load and therefore wins. Once all of the plugins are loaded, the game then loads loose assets from the left side of Mod Organizer 2. And these are NIF files or meshes, that's the shape of objects, and then DDS files or textures, which is what appearance those shapes have. The other thing to know is that if, let's say that you've got two NPC retexture overhauls, and you want a version of an NPC from the first plugin, but a different one from the second. Well, you would need both of those mods to load last in order for both of those NPCs to make it into the game, and that's not going to happen. So we actually have to merge all of the plugins that are involved in all of these NPC retexture overhauls into a single file, and then create a consistency patch to make sure that the right version wins. And that gets pretty complicated, which is why Lexy provides this retexture merge ESP herself. So if we look at page 3 of the guide, this is the section that primarily deals with the NPC retextures. And as you've gone through it, you've noted that it gets pretty complicated. We have you deleting very specific meshes and very specific textures in order to make sure that the correct version of the file makes it into the game. So if we go back and look here, since the plugin contains the location of the texture in the mesh that it's looking for. You need to make sure that the version in the correct path on this side makes it in. So we're going to work through an example where Maven Blackbriar has a brown face bug. And we know that we're going to want this plugin to win because that's where all of the information about her is contained. But we need to make sure that the correct file on this side wins. All right, so let's load into game. And I've loaded up a save here in Riften. And we're going to work on the assumption that Maven Blackbriar is our broken NPC. So I could wander all around the game looking for her, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to spawn a copy of her so that we can look at her. I'm going to open up the console and type player.placeAtMe space and then enter her form ID. And I got that off of Lexy's website on the NPC retexture merge. Now, when I press enter and I leave the console, a new copy of Maven Blackbriar is going to be placed in the game. And you can see there she is walking off in the distance. And I can open my console and click on her and verify, yes, in fact, that is Maven Blackbriar. Now, you notice that when I clicked initially, it didn't show her. If you use the wheel on your mouse, the more informative console will scroll through every item or mesh that is in that spot, forward to backward. So when we highlight Maven Blackbriar, you can see it gives her base form ID. That's her form ID that we typed in. It gives you a lot of other information, including that Zpatch was the last mod to modify her. Now, as we get a little closer, you can start to see that the skin color of her neck isn't right, and her face too, even though it's on the far side. So as I get closer and closer, you'll be able to see it more correctly, and then the game tries to render her face, and she just crashes straight to desktop. So when you know who the broken NPC is, you can actually go to Lexy's website and scroll down to the NPC retexture table. And this is a list of every NPC that the guide alters. And if you type in a name, you can quickly find out some important information about them. So Maven Blackbriar first has a form ID of 1336A. This is going to be important when we look her up in Xedit, so I'm going to copy that. You can see that in the right pane, we want the retexture consistency patch, that's part of the merge, to win. And so most of the time this is going to be right as long as you have the correct load order in your game. Most mistakes occur on this side, so we want the ordinary women to win. So we need to make sure that Maven's assets are actually in the ordinary women, but also that they've been deleted from anything that loads after her, because we want this version to make it into the game. The first thing that we're going to do is we made note of the form ID, and we're going to load up Xedit. Okay, so in the executable bar, we choose SSE Edit, and we're going to click Run and load into our game. Now, we need to make sure that we load our entire load order so that we can see what our entire build is doing to that one record. Once you know that everything is loaded and you get the background loader finished message here in the right pane, you can go ahead and paste her form ID into the upper left-hand search box that says Form ID. When mod groups show up, which ones do you want to activate? You can just click OK. Those are used for conflict detection when using filters. We're not going to use any filters here. So I'm just going to paste her form ID using Control-V and search. And you can see that it jumps right here to Maven, and all of her data is available here on the right. And there's a whole lot of green, and that's not useful to us for what we're going to do. And so these are rows that have no conflicts. So we're going to right click and choose hide, no conflict, and empty rows. And now you can see the relevant parts, which is her hair part, or her head parts. And there are 3 plugins that are affecting her head parts. There's the base Skyrim game. There's the NPC retexture merge. And this is the information that we want to load into the game. And you can see it's the same data that made it here into Zpatch. So this is how it should look. The data from NPC retexture merge makes it into Zpatch. So we've verified that the right pane has the winning information, and so there are no problems there. Let's say that the wrong data was getting in. Maybe for some reason one of these records from the base Skyrim game were making it into the Zpatch. Well, then you have to fix it. Either you've got a problem with your load order, you've got a problem with your Zpatch settings for the NPC visual transfer patch. Maybe you added something in that you shouldn't have, and it's causing that record to win. Either way, you kind of have to troubleshoot where that's coming from. So we're going to close out of Xedit now, or sorry, Xedit, and it's going to put us back into Mod Organizer 2, and we're going to figure out the next step. So when we look at the website again, we can see we want the ordinary women to be the winning mod. Let's switch back to Mod Organizer 2 and find the ordinary women right here. So we need to make sure that whatever is inside this mod has Maven's mesh and texture. We don't really care about what loads before it because ordinary women will overwrite that, but we need to make sure that none of the other ones that load after also have those same files. So the easiest way to do this is to find the mod that's supposed to win on the left side. In this case, it's the ordinary women. We're going to right click that and choose information. We're going to use the conflicts tab, and when it first pops up, you're likely going to see this general tab highlighted. The first section are files that the ordinary women provides that overwrite other mods. In this case, it overwrites Wicco, and there are 49 of them. We don't really care about that because the ordinary women's winning. That's fine. This middle section is what's more relevant to us. These are files that the ordinary women provides that are being overwritten by other mods. Now, there's 133 of them, and searching through for the file we want would be tedious. So we are going to use the Advanced tab. When we click that, down here there is a filter, and we are going to paste the form ID for Maven in here, 1336A. And now you can see that the ordinary women provides 2 files, a texture and a mesh. You want that. Now, if those aren't there, then you're going to likely have a purple face with missing assets. Over here, you can see that those files overwrite Wicco. That's okay. We don't really care because we want these ones to win. But the mesh in this case is being overwritten by another mod, Bgen NPCs. So I've forgotten to delete the file from Bgen. So you don't want to delete this file. That's from the ordinary women. We need to delete this one. So to get there, you right-click this line and choose Go to Bgen NPCs. Now we'll see that this file from Bgen, you can see the name is changed up here in the title bar, and it overwrites Wicco and the ordinary women. So this is the right file. If I right-click that, I can go to Windows Explorer to delete the file itself, or I can just use the hide function in Mod Organizer 2. So what it does is it changes the extension of the file so that it's not seen by the virtual file system and thus effectively deleted. But if you realize you make a mistake, you can always unhide the file and revert to what you had before. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hide the file, and you can see it disappears because effectively it's no longer in Bgen. If you go to the File Tree tab, you can verify that yourself by opening up the folder that has that file. And you can see now it's changed the extension to .mo hidden. If you want to unhide it, just right click and choose unhide. It's back in your game. In our case, we do want to hide this file. So I'm going to hide it and now close the tab. So at this point, if I load into my game, I should see that my brown face bug is fixed. That's basically the way you go about troubleshooting this, if you know who the NPC is. So what do you do, though, when you don't know the NPC that's causing the problem? Or maybe you don't even know that it's a brown face bug to begin with. So you just kind of crash to desktop out of the blue, and you don't know why. So the first thing to do is to actually scroll down to the bottom of your Mod Organizer 2 left pane to the overwrite folder and double click that. And you can see that there is a folder called NetScript Framework Crash, and inside this is where you'll find any crash log that's generated if you crash your game. And I'm going to go to the most recent one here, and I'm going to open it, and we're going to hopefully find some useful information. So in this crash log, you can see that there's a call to facegen node. And this is the clue that this is probably a brown face bug. When you look down in the stack, there's calls to this over and over and over again. BS facegen node, BS facegen morph data head, right, over and over again. So that's the typical pattern you'll see when there's a brown face bug. The log also gives you this other clue that there's a BS tri-shape of an ordinary head Nord. So it's probably actually a Nord character that is broken. So that's one way that you can potentially narrow down who the problem NPC is. So once you know that, you can go back in game and actually search that area, see if you can find the person. If you can see them and click on them in the console, you can get a name potentially. You may find that you just can't get close enough to them without crashing. And so there are a few, there's one potential trick that you can do. On the Discord, I've posted this in the in-game help and discussions channel, so you can find this Excel spreadsheet. But it's a list of every NPC that the guide instructs you to delete files on, and it's sorted by city so that you can kind of narrow it down who are the most likely culprits and then test those people specifically. So in our scenario, we crashed in Riften, and we think that it is a Nord. So there's a few potential people here, right? Ingen Blackbriar, Maven Blackbriar, Mjol the Lioness, and Svana Farshield. So, and I've put their form IDs here so that what you can do is you can load into your game and using the console spawn each of those NPCs one by one. If you go to the console like we did, like you saw in the earlier video, and you can type player place at me, and then their form ID, and then actually look at them, see whether or not they are broken or whether they're rendered correctly, and just test them. And if you find out, I mean, hopefully you'll find the broken NPC. If it doesn't, then you're stuck going back into game and actually trying to find them. There's no way around that other than just completely reinstalling your entire NPC retexture section, which is kind of the nuclear option. So, hopefully this has been a helpful explanation of how to troubleshoot all this. If you still have questions, though, please come by the Discord. I mean, we get lots of questions about this all the time and are happy to help you troubleshoot things. And hope you guys have a good day.